Geometry review number 2, this is numbers 15 and 16. Number 15 asks us to reflect triangle FLP across the x-axis to create triangle F prime, L prime, P prime. So we're going to actually draw it. And remember, if this is our line of reflection, the x-axis, this mirror image has to be the same down in the bottom. Remember, the reflection does that same, preserves that same distance. So if point F starts 1, 2, 3 units above the x-axis, we have to go 1, 2, 3 units below the x-axis to create the reflection. Point P is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's P prime. L is all the way 7 units away. That's 7 up, so 7 down would be there. So there's F prime, L prime, P prime. There's my reflection across the x-axis. Now here it says, is the image a rigid or non-rigid transformation? Circle 1 and explain. This is rigid because it stays the same size. Now rigid is translations, rotations, reflections. All three of those are rigid transformations. So here it's rigid, stays the same size. And are the two triangles the same size and shape? Yes. One looks upside down compared to the other, but they're the same size and the same shape because the rigid transformations, let me write this all out, preserve size and shape. They keep it exactly the same. So these, in other words, are congruent figures because they're exactly the same size and the same shape. Solve number 16. Solve the following, little typo, solve the following equations for x. Just going back to algebra 1. Here with the 23 equals x squared plus 7, what I can do first is I can subtract 7. I get 16 on both sides. And now if I have x squared, to eliminate the x squared, I take the square root of both sides to get rid of the square. That gives me a positive 4 as one answer, and a negative 4 is the other. Remember that negative 4 times negative 4 is also 16. So both of those work, positive 4 and negative 4. Now for the next couple, I'm going to write the work over here. I have 7x squared plus 12 equals x squared plus 36. Now here there's a little bit more to move, so I'm going to try to get the x's on one side, now the numbers then on the other. So usually when you move the x's, it's best to move the smaller one, because that way you end up with some positives. So positive 1 is smaller than 7. I'm going to subtract that 1x squared from both sides. So that gives me 6x squared, and I'm going to bring the 12 down equals 36. Now I'm going to subtract that 12 over and get rid of everything but the x. So 6x squared equals 24. Divide by that number in front, divide by 6. I get x squared equals 4. And now, like before, I had the x squared and 16. Square root of both sides, that gives me a positive 2 and a negative 2 as my two answers. The very last one, 5x squared minus 100 equals 2 times the quantity of x squared plus 4. Now, again, just reviewing all these different algebra skills, I'm going to distribute the 2. I get 2x squared multiplying through plus 8. Now, one step, I'm going to move, just like last time, I moved the x squareds over and the numbers to the other side. I'm going to do that all in one step here. I'm going to subtract 2x squared, that gives me 3x squared. And then I'm going to move this 100 over to this side plus 100. So I get x equals 100, 3x squared equals 108. Now I'm going to divide by 3. I get x squared equals, and that divides 36 times. Again, square root at the very end. That gives me 6 and negative 6 for part C.